Alright, so today we're going to start working on our sumae paintings, Japanese brush paintings, with some considerable differences. First of all, we don't have the Japanese brush and we don't have the ink. So, welcome to America 2021. You have some big sheets of paper like this. Take them and fold them in half, because I want these to be horizontal compositions. Since so many of you guys did so well on your drawing of the history of your life, I figure we can continue on with this horizontal format. Alright, now I folded this thing both ways, and I might be even a little more abusive again. Boom, boom, right? And I am going to hold the two edges firmly, and then, let's see if this will work. Because I am following the weave of the paper, I am able to keep one very still, put a little pressure on the other, and get a decent tear. So I've created half a sheet of paper. Whoa! It's amazing. I am amazed too. So anyway, like I was saying, believe it or not, Japanese ink brush painting started off in China around 600 AD, and all the areas around it were so fascinated that they decided to take it as their own. So that's kind of what happened there, is they absconded with this style of painting. Now you should have a decent brush, you have some water, and you should have some paper towels, which I'm looking frantically for and finding in my hoodie. Thank you. Alright, now what I'm going to do just for giggles is I'm going to put a border on here, and I'm going to wet my brush. I don't know if you guys can see the water there. I'll move it up a little. Exciting. The more you stir into this black watercolor, the more you activate the binder. The binder being gum arabic, which is kind of a tree sap. The more you do it, the more dark your black, or more intense if you're using a color, will be. So the more you stir, the better off you are. And I'm going to be really lazy, and I'm not even going to measure. I'm just going to use my stick here to create the edge, so I have some kind of direction with my painting. Because while I do want this to be long and take full advantage of the horizontal composition, I do want to have space that if I choose to mat these things later, I got a nice decent window mat lip. Plus, if I need to check a color, I can check a color. Which means a lot of watercolor artists end up basically checking the color of their watercolor on the edge of the paper. Alright, now you will see there's a big difference between that line and my other lines. My other lines were running out of ink. What's interesting about Japanese sumae paintings is they're okay with that. That discrepancy in their line work doesn't bother them in the least. Alright? And even though it looks a little messy, if I put a window mat over it, it'd be all good. Alright, so now what we're going to do is I'm sensing that I have a very long composition here. Alright? So I'm going to start with a close-up kind of a tree branch. I'm going to really stir into this black, and I'm just going to kind of go from there. Now, there's nothing wrong with making your black blacker at another date. So if you want to, once you paint this and it dries and you want to put another layer on top to darken it up, fully okay to do that. Alright? Also, consequently, and I'll show you in a little bit how to do this, I'll show you how to do a fade. Now, as I've said before, in watercolor, you're working with a disability. And the disability is this paper is not watercolor paper. Watercolor paper is usually a little firmer. It's a thicker paper. You can be more abusive to it with the amount of moisture you can put on it. Whereas this paper, once it starts to bow up like that or bubble, you gotta let it dry before you can keep working in that area. All right, so I'm kind of going off on a tangent. I'm doing some kind of goofy tree branch here at the moment. I'm gonna assume it's gonna split. All right, boom, boom. Boom. All right. So I am being a little bit random. Now, this isn't necessarily something that happens in every Sumae painting, but since I know the rules of painting, I'm going to take a little bit of what I know about light and dark, and I'm going to assume that the underside of these branches would be the darker side. Because the sun, last time I checked, was still up in the sky. Although we've gone from 2020 to 2021, and I'm not sure things got any better. So, the ability for the sun to be up in the sky, it's questionable. All right, I feel like that should be even darker, but I gotta wait for it to dry up. Now, if you're frustrated at the speed that you can work with these because areas aren't drying, and you are in possession of what's known as a hair dryer, you can definitely go and use your hair dryer on this and use it to dry more quickly. All right. So I've got the beginnings of a branch here, which I can go back and use a little later when it is a little drier. All right. I am going to put gray wash in here. How do I do a gray wash in there? Well, it's going to get real wet, hence the term wash. So I'm going to flip my tray. If your tray area is clean, which hopefully it is, you can pop a little water in there. Boom, 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 boom. All right. You can mix some of the black from here into your tray. If you're curious how dark that is, you can check it on the edge of your paper. All right, that doesn't look so bad. I can even make it a little lighter. And I'm just going to real quickly start to do this. Now, remember, watercolor is always active, which makes it very different from ink, because once ink dries, depending on your ink, it's kind of waterproof. All right. So that's about as wet as I can get it for now, which I'm okay with. All right. I'm going to do some bamboo over here. Now, this method is a direct Sumae method. And you take your brush and you completely cover your brush in watercolor. Now that's drippy. I don't know if you can see it. That's pretty drippy. And what you do is you press and you lift a little and then you press again. All right, I'm going to bring a line back some. Bamboo brushes do hold a bigger charge. But we're going to try it again. Boom, down. Lift a little. Boom. Alright. One more time. Down. Lift. Boom. Now, the nice thing about that is even though it's rough, I am feeling the shadow. Even though I didn't put a shadow in there, right? And then I can go boom. And off there. Alright, now I want to put another piece of bamboo. But I'm getting a little worried that this is going to drip because instead of working on a flat surface, I am working on my drawing table. So I'm going to turn this the other direction to try to coax some of the paint to go up. This is a real good example here. Hopefully you can see that. When you start seeing little darker dots in the watercolor, you have compromised the structural integrity of the paper. So no more paint should be added to that until that dries. Then you can paint on top of it. But there is too much water right there. So I've never had an actual example of that to show anybody because I usually don't do that. But then again, I'm not usually using a very wet Suma-A ink. So let's continue on. See if we can get another bit of bamboo. Boom. Boom. Ah, see, this is the downside of doing it like this. Because I want my shadow on the other side. Ah, okay. That left-handed, right-handed thing, huh? Yeah. Alright. And then I'm going to flip it one more time. See if I can put some more bamboo in there. Hello, bamboo. Can I do a smaller bamboo? Okay. Maybe. Maybe not. Well. Alright. Boom. Alright. And boom. Alright. Okay, so now I got to think about doing things like little branches off here. Little branches are going to be kind of the same thing. Like what I always yell at you guys about doing when you're doing your ink, like if you start and you leave your ink marker down and you don't automatically draw your line and then lift at the end, you end up with dots. Well, that's what we're looking for here. We're looking for those little dots to look like the connectors in between the branches. And this is a lifting thing. So as you go through this, you kind of press down, press down, press down. All right? You can do your smaller branches like that. Okay. Now I can come back because this still doesn't look all that dry. This might be one of these where you take a 30-minute break, you go watch a little TV, come back, and add some more. See if I can get anywhere with this. Not far. I cannot get too much darker on that. Alright. Okay, let's talk about leaves. So how do we do leaves? Well, way back when I taught you guys watercolors years ago, I had you guys make a bunch of independent strokes, right? And one of the strokes was to press very lightly and then press harder and then to lift up again. And boom, I made a leaf. Alright, so far so good. If you want your leaves to look not as old, make them more out to the side like they have some vitality. Alright. Oh, so forth. And so, okay. The thing is, if you mess up a leaf, you can always come back and add a little water to it to blend later. But that's essentially how you would go and make your leaves. Let's talk about blossoms. Just basically because I want to switch color here for a second and see what I can do. Whenever you do blossoms or cherry blossoms on a tree, they use a lot of water. And usually they wait for the red to dry, they put a little dot in the middle. So what you start with, essentially, is an ungodly amount of watery red. And hopefully, and I don't mean to be sad at you, but I realize right off the bat that these are not Crayola watercolors, because they're not behaving like Crayola watercolors. Whoa, that's a lot of paint. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to paint just some blossoms. Maybe I'll do some more over here. You're probably like, well, they don't look like anything. Well, they don't look like anything. Yeah, they look like cherries right now. They do not look like flowers. But I kind of want to get that candy corn feel to it. It's got that weird shape that's almost a rectangle. Or I'm sorry, a triangle. When your paint starts going pink, it means you need more paint. It was going so nice up till then. Don't worry, it's not done. Alright, so we move this around some. Now I'm going to go back and just get water on my brush. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to have a semi-wet brush. I'm going to take some of the water off by dabbing it on my paper, and I'm going to come from the middle and catch that red. And then I'm going to get rid of that red. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come from the white, catch the red so it kind of bleeds up. Alright. Come in the middle, catch the red. I'm trying real hard to avoid running across the black, because the moment I do that, I'm going to get black mixed with red. And that will not be what I'm hoping for. Alright. But I do hope to be a little more subtle on these. Alright. So they start to give this impression. What they're really trying to do, and this is years before the Impressionist painters, the Suma-e, Chinese and Japanese ink brush painters, were trying to capture the essence. So it didn't have to be perfect. It didn't have to be a photographic representation. All right, I'm going to let those dry up for a minute, because you can see right there I have really stressed this paper. And I'm going to take a quick look at this picture of a bird. Oh, I can't even lay this on here because that's not dry yet either. So I don't know if you can see my bird picture. It's a magpie. I'm a big fan of magpies because they're just cool. And I'm going to kind of paint the impression of a magpie flying through the background. Now, this is a very colorful magpie, so it might be an Australian magpie. Why do I like magpies? Because they'll steal stuff from you. They really will. If you have an open window, they will come in from your window and they will steal your junk. You got jewelry left out, magpie's going to steal that jewelry. They might even leave you a rock. They'll make a trade. Incredibly intelligent birds. If one hangs around you enough, it can start to mimic words like a parrot does. The fact that it's a thief and it would like shiny things is pretty messed up and strange for a creature in the animal kingdom. Oh my god, I just left my hand on that red spot. Oh my god, it's so wet. Yeah, I know. Plus they just have cool patterns. Now if you're ever in Australia, there's a season that the magpies attack people. And during that time period, you see a lot of people wearing bike helmets because they don't screw around. They are part of the crow family, so they got that cool goth thing going on. That's always neat for a bird. And I am so interested in magpies that the character in my book can turn into one. Of course, he turns into a 150-pound magpie, so that could be pretty scary. Plus their tail, it's long, and when they jump up, it acts almost like a ball gown. I mean, it's so graceful when these things fly that you don't think they look real. They look like something from some sort of sci-fi alien movie. So I guess if I could have one pet bird in the world, it would probably be a magpie. But having a pet bird is cruel. First of all, birds are supposed to fly. And if some idiot stopped me from flying, I'd be really angry. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so I did basically the implications of a magpie here. I did the outline. I'll probably come back. I don't have to add a lot of super tight detail. Like each feather doesn't have to be rendered perfectly because you're capturing the essence of the thing. Alright, now I'm going to try a little bit of an experiment here. Grab some blue. Every once in a while I gotta look up. It's the days I don't look up that the camera turns itself off. And I can throw some blue on here. Also, I went too close. Also, the Australian magpies are very colorful. I'm not sure I like that. I think I like the darker, straight black and white ones. They look a little better. Look a little sleeker. That's why I say they don't look real a lot of times. This guy looks like they were made in a design house. Alright, I got a little green down here. Let's stir that sucker up. I don't know if you guys can even see the picture. Yeah, you can kind of see the picture I'm working through. Alright. So that green and that blue are a little bit bright for my liking. So I might come over that later and do a black wash to dull it out. Or maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm going to take and put a little bit of green down, put some water on top of it. Maybe I'm going to put some green on top of my blue. Yeah, I'll play around with it. Maybe I'll put some blue on top of my green. But I do want a difference. I don't want it to be... I want there to, like, since this guy's green and blue, I want that to actually resonate. Alright, so this is about as wet as I can go with this area until it dries. Maybe I'll come back and try to do a little bit of extra black line work here. Bum, bum. And then inside the blossoms, sometimes you can take a little, you can make the little cherry blossom buds. So alright, so that's probably enough to get you guys started. If you have any questions, remember, email me, look online yourself, find other tutorials. Basically, I learned how to do this bamboo brush thing today in about 45 seconds, just by watching a guy doing it. So yeah, make yours look cool, make yours look legit, and stay safe. I will see you later. Bye-bye.